A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Welcome to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. Happy Second Amendment Day to you, 2/22. I think it could be, I think we need two Second Amendment days. I mean, why not February the 2nd? 2-2 Day, Pew Pew Day, as well as 2/22. Anyway, and I guess you could have 2/23 would be a pretty good Second Amendment Day as well, at least for those fans of modern sporting rifles. Anyway, I digress. Although we are kind of talking about long guns, Chamberlain 223 on the show today, specifically talking about a bill introduced in Colorado that would raise the age to purchase any firearm from 18 to 21. This is not the first gun control bill to be dropped into the legislative hopper in Colorado this year, but it may be one of the biggest to date. Unfortunately, there's probably even bigger infringements to come. But yes, Colorado Democrats unveiling a proposal to limit gun purchases to people 21 and older. The bill's Democratic sponsors sat down with the Denver Post on Tuesday night to unveil their legislation, which they say is aimed not at infringing on any, constitutionally protected rights of young adults. Rather, they say, no, this is about public safety. Senator Jesse Danielson said, we know that there's a disproportionately high rate of violence perpetrated by young people using firearms, and that includes suicides. And he, along with Senator Kyle Mullica of Thornton and Representatives Monica Duran of Wheat Ridge and Eliza Hamrick of Centennial, all Democrats, cited statistics from the Giffords Law Center for the supposed need for this gun control bill. Duran, in particular, said she couldn't fathom the suicide increase. She said, I'm not saying that this bill is going to fix everything, but it sure as hell is an important, huge step in recognizing and acknowledging that we need to do something here in Colorado. Denver Post notes that only 6 states and Washington, D.C. currently restrict rifle possession, and that's according to Giffords. The Denver Post does not note that several federal courts have recently declared that bans on any type of fire possession for those under the age of 21, adults under the age of 21, is in fact a violation of their constitutional right. We've had a federal judge in Texas declare that these states' ban on concealed carry for under 21s violates the Second Amendment. Had a federal judge in Tennessee rule the same with that state's prohibition. Even before the Bruen decision was handed down, a federal judge in California declared that that state's ban on the sale of semi-automatic rifles to under 21s was also unconstitutional. And again, that was before the Bruen test. Now, we can acknowledge that there has been a rise in suicides, juvenile suicides in particular, over the past, really going back to like 2009. But the idea that we can ban our way to safety doesn't make any sense whatsoever. In fact, I would point to what is happening in Colorado. Monica Duran, the senator there, says, well, we need to do something. I would say that something's already being done. In fact, many things are already being done here. What Monica Duran wants is to use this as an excuse to block young adults from exercising a right that, frankly, she doesn't feel is all that important, apparently. It certainly seems to be the impression that you get given this bill. In Colorado, there's actually been a pretty amazing collaboration between gun store owners, firearms instructors, and mental health professionals. Very similar to Hold My Guns. In fact, I think the group Hold My Guns has been involved in these efforts in Colorado. So basically, if you or somebody in your family is in crisis, or maybe you're just going out of town for a couple of weeks, but you don't want to leave your firearms in your home, there is a map, an interactive map of the state of Colorado featuring all of the FFLs and gun stores, not police departments, but again, individuals who have volunteered to temporarily hold on to your firearms for you for a week or two or a month, however long you need. And then you can get those firearms back. Why doesn't the state of Colorado, which has no formal connection with this program, why don't they give a couple of $1 million in grants to aid in these efforts, as opposed to, again, trying to reduce suicide, a laudable goal, by infringing on the fundamental rights of Colorado residents? there are, again, multiple avenues to address an increase in suicide without trying to put new gun control laws on the books. It was just last week we spoke with Kathleen Milligan of the DC Project about the work that she's doing, the Sentinel app that she's developed to help prevent and reduce veteran suicides. She's got $1 million grant from the VA for this program. And again, this isn't about imposing new laws. It's about, for the Sentinel app, again, creating this community of veterans and a safety team who can do everything from, if the veteran wants, because again, it's all voluntary, monitor when a gun safe is opened up, or simply, allow for that veteran to have a support network and community of like-minded individuals when they're struggling. Again, this isn't, it's not a soundbite solution, right? It's not something that you can easily explain all of these provisions in 10 or 15 seconds on the nightly news. But I'd say that it's something far more substantive, not to mention far more constitutional, than the edict proposed by these Democrats in Colorado. And as I mentioned, this is not the last bill we're likely to see. Mullica said that while this is the first bill in the slate of likely gun legislation that will be introduced, it's not an indicator of one bill being prioritized or the other. He says it's common sense. When we're out talking to people in our communities, it's bills like this that they're asking for. Really? They're asking for gun bans for under 21s, huh? Another bill that posed rights to define and outright ban the sale of guns deemed assault weapons has also been floated by some Democrats, but has not been introduced as the caucus debates how to address gun violence in the state. Yeah, that is definitely up for consideration. We've seen these draft copies floating around. I don't know. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes in Denver with the debate over the ban on so-called assault weapons. But that draft bill has been out there for weeks now, and we have yet to see legislation introduced. So I don't know if some Democratic lawmakers are already getting pushback from Colorado residents. I don't know if some Democratic lawmakers are a little concerned that, this is a bridge too far even for us, or they're just waiting for the right time to introduce that bill, which may very well be a possibility. But there is far more gun control coming down the pike in Colorado. And again, it's worth noting that in the 10 years since Colorado really first started this gun control experiment, 2013, that's when the state passed universal background checks. They passed a ban on large capacity magazines, which was anything over 15 rounds, I believe. Violent crime has gone up in the state of Colorado. They put red flag laws on the books. Crime has gone up. And not just by, a squinch. It's gone up dramatically. 75% plus increase in Denver over the past 10 years. So these gun control laws aren't working to keep people safe. They're not making Colorado a safer place. Colorado is not a safer place than it was 10 years ago. It is a more dangerous place. And again, the Democrats, who unfortunately keep adding to their majorities because apparently, Coloradans want to Californicate their state, they keep aiming at law-abiding gun owners instead of actually addressing violent criminals. They keep trying to restrict the right to keep and bear arms rather than fix the state's crumbling mental health system. And again, when these efforts inevitably fail, they use those failures as an excuse for further infringements on a fundamental right. So we are going to be keeping a close eye on what's going on in Colorado, both with this bill that would ban the sale of firearms to under 21s, a bill that, again, I don't think would fare well in court, even if it's popular in the state house. And yes, that rumored and potential ban on so-called assault weapons. We've already been covering legislation that would allow rural counties to block the discharge of firearms, no more backyard ranges, even if you live, again, I know my friend Selena Zito hates this term, but if you live in the middle of nowhere, it still doesn't matter. a county would have the authority to say, "Now you can't shoot on your property. No more plinking." I know that's maybe why you moved here, but no, can't do it anymore. So, yeah, they are going after gun owners every way they can. And unfortunately, we are likely to see these abuses continue as the session gets underway in Colorado. All right, let's turn our attention now to today's Armed Citizen story, our good deed of the day, and our recidivist report. We'll start there in Connecticut, where, we talked about this at Bearing Arms recently. Mayors in Connecticut came out, I think it was last week, and we're pushing this package to increase penalties for repeat violent offenders. And they noted the statistics show that a plurality of violent crime in their communities committed by individuals who are well known to law enforcement. Amazingly, they actually had Ned Lamont at the podium with them when they pled with lawmakers to increase the punishments for repeat violent offenders, because Lamont has been all on board with going after legal gun owners instead, right? I think he's had 3 different press conferences just this year to outline his gun control agenda before he popped up with the mayors and said, maybe we should do something about repeat criminals too. That is where the focus should be, on those repeat violent offenders, obviously not on law-abiding citizens. Case in point, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Police say a second man has been arrested in a pizzeria armed robbery. 50 years old, by the way. So the under 21 gun ban proposed in Colorado wouldn't have impacted him. I think they want to do the same in Connecticut, actually, now that I think about it. And again, wouldn't have stopped him. Of course, he wasn't legally allowed to possess a firearm in the first place. Police arrested 50-year-old David Dagley, charging him with first-degree robbery. Bond for that offense set at $30,000, just $30,000. So 10%, $3,000 you get out. No big deal, right? He may have even made that much money off of the robbery that he allegedly committed. Dagley also served, however, with 3 outstanding arrest warrants. 3 for violation of his probation in Norwalk, Westport, and Monroe, Connecticut. Bond for each of those set at $2,000, so $6,000, and Dagley can get out once again while he's awaiting trial. Bridgeport police said earlier that this pizza place targeted an armed robbery on February the 1st. 46-year-old Jorge Ruiz of Bridgeport was arrested on February 16th in connection with the incident. Ruiz, by the way, also just released from state prison in December of 2021 after serving 14 years for a previous armed robbery offense. And again, now he, as well as the 50-year-old Bagley, both accused of robbing the pizza place, Sergio's Pizza, back on February the 1st. And once again, clearly, long criminal history. We don't know the specific charges that David Dagley was on probation for, but we do know that he had 3 different cases outstanding in which he was on probation. And apparently, according to authorities anyway, violated the terms of those probationary periods in all 3 instances. Almost like, career criminals don't really care what Connecticut law says because they know the punishment is going to be relatively light. All right, today's armed citizen story from Indianapolis, Indiana, where the local police say that a domestic incident led to an attempted home intruder being shot and killed. And this, by the way, not the first defensive gun use in Indianapolis this year. Far from it. It was just about 1 o'clock Tuesday morning when police called to the Bayview Club Apartments, found a man named Calvin Pogue Jr., 31 years old, who had been shot. He pronounced dead after being taken to the hospital. Police say that the shooting appears to be domestic related, but they say that Hogue was acting as a home intruder. In other words, he wasn't supposed to be there. And he tried to break in. So he might have had a relationship with the person inside the home, but he did not apparently have the right to be in that location. And so his death ruled or considered at this point, a justifiable homicide. Fox 59 in Indianapolis spoke with attorney Mario Massalamani, who said that people are allowed to use deadly force to protect themselves and their homes against intruders. And he said, our legislature values that your home is your castle and you have a lot more protection than if you're on the street. You don't have a duty to retreat. You are allowed to feel safe in your own home. While we don't know a lot of specifics about this particular incident, Fox 59 reported that 10 Of the first 36 homicides in Indianapolis this year have either been deemed accidental, self-defense, or otherwise cleared without charges. So nearly 1/3 of homicides in Indianapolis this year, again, either ruled justified as self-defense, no charges filed, or they were deemed to be accidental shootings and maybe negligent homicide, but not criminal intent. Fox 59 says that is a dramatic increase over the past 2 years on the same date, when there was only one non-criminal homicide in 2021 and 3 in 2022. Again, more cases of self-defense is a good thing, unless, of course, you are a violent criminal or a gun prohibitionist who wants to obliterate our right to act in armed self-defense. Finally today, our good deed of the day, speaking of one of those places where they do try to make it impossible for you to defend yourself with a firearm. New Jersey, in the right place at the right time, willing and able to do the right thing. A gas station employee who helped a woman escape apparently a year-long kidnapping and abduction. The victim ran into this gas station. Apparently she had scoped it out previously, and she had seen that there was a deadbolt on the door. And so when her alleged abductor went back to that store with her in the car, she took off and ran inside the store. The clerk inside, Jamie Garthis, said she came running, and he was behind her, and he was yelling, "You don't want to do this." And when she got close enough to me, she was like, "He kidnapped me." So we both went inside, and she locked the door, and I called the cops. This was 2 weeks ago, back on February the 7th. Garthis says her boss took the woman into the back room to help calm her down until police arrived. When police did arrive, they were able to take James Perillo Jr. into custody. They say that the woman apparently met Perillo in New Mexico about a year ago. And by the way, that's the moment you can see the woman there and the store clerk closing that door so that Perillo could not get inside. Again, police say that the pair met about a year ago. Perillo had been using the name Brett Parker, and they met in Mexico in February of last year. The victim agreed to give him a ride to Arizona, and the two began a voluntary relationship. But she said in California, Perillo assaulted her, taking her phone and her debit cards. And after that, she was unable to get away. They allegedly arrived in New Jersey in December. They'd been renting a room in Bass River when she escaped. Again, Jamie Garthis said she said she'd scoped the place the last time she was in here with me. She saw that we had a deadbolt, so she knew if she could make it here, she could lock the door. Police, meanwhile, are looking to see if Perillo has victimized anybody else. But thankfully, again, this woman's nightmare ordeal is over, thanks in part to the quick thinking and the fast actions of Jamie Garthis. Again, just in the right place at the right time, willing and able to do the right thing for a woman in need. And we thank her for her very, very good deed. Now, that is all the time we've got for you on this edition of Bearing Arms Cam & Company. I want to thank you for being a part of the program as always, and I'm looking forward to being back with you again tomorrow as we once again delve into the latest going-ons with your right to keep and bear arms. Of course, we're doing that at the website, bearingarms.com, throughout the day as well. So I would encourage you to visit, read and share all of the stories that you find there. And if you like what you see, I'd also encourage you to become a VIP member at Bearing Arms. All you have to do, go to bearingarms.com/subscribe. Use the promo code GUNRIGHTS, and you can get a significant savings on your VIP membership as our way of saying thank you for showing your support. We're going to give you exclusive content, news stories, analysis you won't get anywhere else, because your support really does matter, and it really does make a difference. So thank you again. All right, have a great rest of your Hump Day Wednesday. Looking forward to being with you again tomorrow. Until then, be well, be safe, and be free.